Alex, welcome to Podcastina.
I'm sorry, I'm busy right now. Did you want to do something? Or I'm kind of in the middle of a very romantic relationship. It's a first date, but honestly, it's going super well.
It's going really well.
Yeah, I think we might have a future together. Now, I am going to have to tell my pug that I'm cheating on him, and he's not going to be thrilled. He'll know, actually. The second I get home, he's going to smell me and go, "Where have you been?"
He does that to me, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
They all do it.
Yeah, they want to know who else we've been hanging out with, why are we covered in fur, and why is our skin smell like another tongue?
For those of you just listening, Monty is licking Alex as if he's a fucking chocolate bar.
Yeah, for sure. I am a human ice cream cone right now. I think I leaned into like lollipops for so long in my life. Like I used to give them out at festivals, then I did a thing on my social media for a while, like daily lollipops and things, that I think now I've just become a human lollipop. And
You've manifested into one.
I mean, I am a big dum-dum, so this makes sense. And every time I get blown, I pop. So, yay! Look at us already getting silly.
This is amazing. It's just, I don't see him react he's sweet with everyone, but this is next level.
I mean, it could be partially. So obviously I have autoimmune issues that manifest through my skin. That's been, that's no secret. And some dogs are kind of like, what's this texture? Mm-hmm. That's not smooth like regular skin. There's a little hard edge. There's a little roughness to it. Like, do you ever catch, I don't know if your dog does this, but my dog will sometimes just like kind of like put his tongue against the concrete and like just kind of like scrape along with it. Maybe that's a pug thing. Maybe that's just my idiot dog thing. I don't know, but
he's done a few things where he's like licked the sideboard.
Okay.
He's done that. There's been a couple. I've caught him licking a wall. A few things where I'm like, "Are you all right, bud? Did you hit your head?"
Right. Yeah. Because my dog's tongue now, he's 11 years old, and he's always had a long tongue, but it hangs out of his mouth all of the time, and it's uncontrollable because we've pulled a lot of teeth out of him over the years, and so now it's just always hanging out. But he just kind of like will put it against the ground. And sometimes he comes back from a walk, and it's just like it's brown, his tongue, because it's just covered in dirt. I'm just like, what? Yeah, this is gross. Anyway, did we start already?
We did start already.
I'm having a moment.
Yeah. Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
What is your balance owed for hospital bills?
God, I mean, the balance at this point, I have no idea because I literally throw the bills away. At one point, like if you looked at just like the sticker price of it, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, because they give you the bill and then they're like, oh, but we took care of all of these things, and it's like, did you though? Like, it's just a very weird approach to it. But my wife found out that I was just throwing away the bills after a while, and she's like, she got furious at me.
Why?
Because she was like, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live with a person who doesn't think he needs to pay his medical bills. And I was like, I pay the base rates. I pay the office visits and things. But if you send me a bill that says, out of nowhere for $4,000, I just go, oh, well, that goes right in the trash can. Because for what? Like, I just don't. I'm Team Luigi all the way is basically what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I'm not going to murder anybody, but our healthcare system is so broken. And the amount of time, so I spent 33 days in a hospital. For those that don't know, I had cancer, stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it turned into sepsis because my chemo port got infected internally. And so I ended up spending 33 days in a hospital, and that's very expensive. Very expensive. And so I paid all the base things that I needed to pay, but then it got to a certain point where I was like, I don't care about this. And, people are like, your credit score. I researched all of this. Your credit score is not going to be affected by medical debt. There are laws passed that really can't happen anymore.
Even when it gets sent to collection?
So, so eventually after collections, it will disappear after 7 years. You just have to ignore. You basically just have to say, if a collections number comes through, you block it, and then they'll call you again with a new number every few days, and just keep blocking numbers, and after 7 years, it disappears. So I'm really not worried about it. Plus, the economy as a whole right now, I don't know what to do with it. So if they're like, hey, you owe $38,000, I'm like, cool.
Yeah, come get it.
Yeah. Okay. What do you want to do? You want a finger? I don't know what that's worth. The finger's probably worth like $200. Definitely not 30,000.
Yeah, right. It's just so chaotic to think about that and handle it. And I've heard you talk on it before.
Yeah.
I went for just a scan, and I have Medi-Cal, which is already shit anyways. But I think even with the best, highest paying insurance, a lot of people end up owing on anything substantial. But I had gone for a scan. I had like a weird pain in my boob, and it was the first time I had to get a mammogram, and they gave me an ultrasound as well. And they billed me $1,500. And every once in a while, I just send them $10 to placate them.
Yeah.
And that's it. And yeah, they call me, and I just block the calls. And they try to call me from like a Cleveland area code where my area code is, and I'm like, I see right through this.
Yeah, that's a really good way to kind of keep them at bay. Is like, look, I got $10 I can give you right now, and they're like, well, I was gonna go to Jimmy John's today, so yeah, I guess my sandwich is covered. Okay, we'll take $10, and it just kind of shows that you're not actively ignoring them. So like every once in a while, like if a bill comes in for like $100, I'm just like, all right, just throw that one in there. But I don't worry about these things.
I don't either.
They
don't feel real.
They don't feel real. And that's one of the things I talk about, like when I was doing that, because I have a whole I have a bunch of bits about this, is that if they were to send me a bill for 14 grand, I'm kind of afraid all of a sudden, because that is money that technically they could take from me. But when you tell me I owe $300-something thousand, I'm just like I can't. My brain goes, all right, so what are you gonna do?
Right.
What, are you gonna put me in jail? At which point then you're paying more money for me to live? Like, there's no good solution to this, right? Right.
It's not like they're asking you things from your experience, from being in the hospital for that long of a stint. They're not coming in and going, hey, do you want to pay for this antibiotic that we have to give you? Or, hey, do you want to be stitched up after this surgery that we want to give you? And it just feels like this. That's why it's so unreal, I think, is because it's these cataclysmic events that nobody plans for, that you can't help. It's not your fault that the health system is what it is here. And anyone who was surprised at Luigi and surprised at the reaction to Luigi, what do you mean you were surprised?
Right.
Have you never met anyone that's been through something like you've been through, or had their own incidents? Like, thank God I've been fairly healthy, but even with that mammogram paying $1,500, I'm like, from where? I was with them for 5 minutes. And by the way, they didn't even tell me what was wrong. I had to figure it out. I opened the results and ascertained that I had some sort of like little, I forget what the thing said, but it was like, I found it. Nobody told me about it.
Jeez. I mean, ChatGPT is the new doctor, right? You just get your results and you throw it in there. They're like, do you want to do a follow-up? You're like, no, I'm going to use AI to do that. I mean, at one point when I was in the hospital, this is how bad insurance is, because they do not, we just know, I mean, everyone knows this. Insurance will do anything to not pay what they're supposed to. At one point, I'm laying in the hospital. I've been in there like 2 weeks. It's 6 a.m. Somebody comes in my room. I've never seen him before. I'm sleeping. I wake up and they're like, hi, are you Alexander Hooper? And I was like, yeah. They're like, your insurance has been canceled. And I went, what? And they went, thanks, bye. And they walked out of the room.
What is that?
So it turns out, and I call my wife and I'm like, hey, my God, she's in yoga. She gets out of yoga, gets this message from me like, you got to call me back. There's a big problem. Apparently, they made a paperwork error. And we had paid everything was fine for our insurance premiums, and yet they made an error, so they just sent someone to be like, oh, just so you know, this guy is not insured anymore. And as I'm laying in a hospital, and it was their fault, and it took 4 hours on the phone to clean this thing up and make them realize that this was not on us, that we did not miss anything. But that's how fast they were to be like, you're not our responsibility anymore. Bye. Like, no no answers to questions, no solutions, no remorse, nothing. Just a stranger walking into a room, which, God, fuck that job all day. Can you imagine? I'm laying there basically practically dying. I have cancer. I have sepsis. I had multiple embolisms. I had heart vegetation. I have edema. Everything in my body is inflamed and exploding. And this person walks in to be like, hi, did I wake you? Like, fuck that. You couldn't pay me enough to do that job.
I didn't know that was a job, and it kind of bears the question, did they do that because you were actively using the insurance at that point? Is that why they were looking at you as one of their customers and going, hey, he's racking up $1 million worth of medical bills right now.
100%. That's why
Let's go cancel his insurance.
Yeah, for sure. If I wasn't using anything, what would they care? If they wouldn't give a shit. So it's easy for them to just ignore that. But with them, they're seeing these everyday bills come in. Like, staying in a hospital is super expensive, and they do inflate the price of everything. One thing I learned is that you have to ask for itemized bills. If you're ever actually contesting some of your charges, ask for itemized bills, because so many of the charges are ridiculous that they will magically be like, okay, you don't need to pay that. And things will start disappearing. Like, one thing I talk about in my special is that, and this really happened, multiple women came up to me because I was going all around the country talking about this. Multiple women said that they looked at their bill after giving birth and they were charged $80 for skin to skin contact.
What?
That's a real charge that they will put on your bill.
Who's
after
skin
birth.
to skin?
Like so basically the nurse taking the baby and then lifting it onto the mom's chest, $80.
Get the fuck out of here.
Skin to skin contact. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like, that's what I was like, so if you pick it up with your own salad tongs, like, is that okay? You can just drop it in a colander and just let the placenta drip through until it's clean, and then you can touch it. Is that going to be free? It's insane what they will do to get money. And like, I mean, that's why I don't think any of this is real, is because you see these numbers and they're like, okay, you owe $780,000. And they're like, but with insurance, you actually owe $2,000. You're like, what?
Yeah.
So then what? This isn't real. Like, because there's no way the insurance company paid out $758,000.
Absolutely not.
No. So they're just throwing numbers in the air, just magically creating this fear in people that they think they have to pay. But the truth is, like, you can get around all of these things. You really can. So, I don't know. I'm just an advocate for just, like, don't let them control you and let you live in a state of fear just because you needed care.
And yet, how many people, I forget what the number is, but all these figures started coming out around the Luigi story of how many folks are just ignoring symptoms because they're afraid of that exact scenario.
Yeah. I mean, going to the doctor costs you money in a lot of different ways. Most people are going to have to call off work to do it. So, and maybe get a babysitter. And all of these things add up where people are like, okay, it's just a headache right now. I don't know. It's just a growth. I'm not going to worry about it. And because of that, because we've made it so difficult, they just don't do anything about it. I mean, I didn't know, just to get my diagnosis, like, basically I went in to my PCP and she was like, I think this is lymphoma. Right away, I think you have lymphoma, because my neck was super swollen. I had all these giant, weird lumps in there that I could move around. They didn't hurt, but my neck was so fat.
Is that what sent you in?
Yeah, I mean, people weren't really noticing, but until I pointed it out, and then they're like, oh yeah, I guess that is weird. When I was buying my shirt for my wedding, my neck size was so much bigger than it should have been, and that was should have been a telltale sign. But once my PCP said, I think it's lymphoma, I got to send you to a specialist. It still took 3 months. And the first specialist I went to was like, yeah, it probably is lymphoma. We got to figure out what it is, though. 3 months of doing all these random tests. And just that alone, the amount of time I have to take out of my life. People don't talk about like cancer is debilitating and it weakens you and it's scary. But what they don't talk about enough is it's fucking inconvenient. The inconvenience that it will suddenly surge on your life between you and whoever your caretaker is. Like for me, it was my wife. She wanted to be at every single appointment. Well, that's a lot of fucking time when you're going multiple times a week to see somebody, because that's hours out of your day. And like, thank God we both worked for ourselves at the time, because if not, I don't know what the fuck we would have done. Crazy, right?
It's hard to even find words for how chaotic it is. And I hadn't thought of that either. Yeah, the time commitment, and especially for the caretakers who are like the unsung heroes.
Yeah, I mean, and you need somebody like that. I mean, one thing is like cancer is so prolific that if you don't get it, the person right next to you will get it. So it's going to be either you're the caretaker or you're the patient, and you need to be ready for all of that stuff. And yeah, I'm very fortunate that my wife refused to not be at appointments. It took forever for her to be like, okay, this one you can go to by yourself. Because for the most part, she was like, no, I need to be there. Because what would happen too is I would disassociate. When a doctor says, so you have cancer, your brain goes, and all of a sudden you're just looking at your life through this outside lens. You're not hearing a single thing. They're saying words to you, but you're not logging any of it. So my wife is sitting there with like a pen and a pad, like, okay. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? And she would just have all of these notes. I'm so fortunate that she handled it in the way she did, because also that's just what she does. Like I just kind of like go with the flow, and she's like, no, we need a plan. We need to like have all this information. We need everything written down. But man, yeah, I don't wish going through the medical system on anybody. Sometimes honestly, this is going to sound really dark. It would have been easier if it just fucking killed me. It would have been so much easier. Every once in a while, if I get a little down, I'm resentful that my cancer didn't do a better job.
Wow.
Like, I'm just like, buddy, like, you came in and you had the easiest job in the world. Just take me out. I wasn't doing shit. I was just partying and doing stand-up. You could have just come on in and just pow. And yet you left an opening for me to be able to beat you? Weak, cancer. Weak move. And then, yeah, I mean, of course I'm happy to be alive, but like, you know, every once in a while that darkness kind of comes in and I'm just like, oh, yeah.
What do you remember feeling after you got the diagnosis and you stopped disassociating?
First of all, almost like, of course. In a way, because so I have been in a dance with my health my entire life. I've had skin issues since I was a baby that it's all autoimmune. Doctors have never been able to figure it out. The amount of times that I've been to a doctor and they've just looked at me and said, I'm sorry, I can't do anything, like abundant, numerous times. And so I've always kind of had issues with my health. So when this came in, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, here's another one. But I also kind of looked at it as, well, I'm gonna beat this. Like, my prognosis was very good. Hodgkin's lymphoma, they pretty much know exactly what to do with it at this point. So I was like, okay, maybe this will be... This is exactly what I need for my career right now. I'm kind of stuck and I need something to do. And I've been a good person. I've worked really hard. Maybe this will be what I can use to kind of catapult me out of this well that I've kind of just been circling in for a long time.
You have such a strong mind to look at it through that lens.
It goes in and out, but thank you. But yeah, initially, like, you know, and I told everybody, I made a YouTube video that because I didn't want people to start, I was worried about what chemo was going to do to me. And I was worried, obviously, about my hair, which thankfully is back. But like all of these different things where I was like, I didn't want to be seen as weak. And I thought about trying to hide it and just keep going on with my life. But then I realized, I was like, people are going to be like, hey, are you feeling okay? You look a little down today, or you're just kind of like moving a little sluggishly, whatever it may be. All those thoughts are going through my head, and I'm like, oh, I can't. I don't want to have to explain this. So I was like, I'll just explain it immediately, and I'll just tell everybody what's going on and put it out there, which was very scary. I had a vulnerability hangover after I made that video, which was a term I did not know.
Never heard that before.
My wife taught me that. I feel like it's like a Brene Brown or a Mel
It would
Robbins.
be if it's vulnerability.
Yeah, something, either one of those women who, yeah, I think it's Brene Brown, vulnerability hangover, because I made that video and instantly I posted it and I was like, this was a mistake. And my wife was like, get off your phone, get off your computer, don't look at anything for a few hours. And like, I took a nap and I woke up a few hours later and I was like, that was a mistake. She goes, Alex, I'm telling you, I wouldn't have let you do that if it was a mistake. And I opened my phone and suddenly I had hundreds of notifications.
I remember when you posted that.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know how it felt to an outside person, but to me, I was suddenly like, oh, I am going to be okay. Because look at this community that I've built over the years. I've really tried my best to like give back to the comedy community and be a person that people want to be around, that like is always in a good mood and tries to lift other people up. And so I kind of thought like, okay, I hate to say it, everybody, but I need you right now. Like I've kind of like, I've been, I know I'm out there a lot and I don't ask for much, but right now, like, I just need you guys to like tell me I'm going to be okay. And it really, every message that came through, I looked at the name and I thought about that person, like touching my heart for a second, and just like this little shot of dopamine. Every single one was just, oh, okay, cool. I feel better. Oh, I feel better. And eventually, like, it just got to the point when I knew I was going to be okay. It got way worse than I ever thought it would. Like my chemo port getting infected. I mean,
what the fuck?
The worst luck, because you can't blame that on a doctor. They didn't like leave a sponge inside or something. And there was no way to know it was infected because it was internal. It wasn't like suddenly I had gangrene on my chest. Like I literally stroked out one day after feeling really shitty for a few days. And that's when I knew nothing about sepsis. It's not something you think about until you have it. And then you're like, oh, this causes 1 in 3 hospital deaths. 1 in 5 people that get sepsis today die from it. Today? Fuck, this isn't the dark ages. We know what to do. But all of those things. And yeah, it's just bad luck. So, all these people are like, you got to sue the doctor. You got to do this. Like, dude, I don't want to go through all that. I don't like. I just don't want to be that person that sues a individual doctor for obvious, because I don't think it was carelessness or anything. I really don't. I really think I just got unlucky. So, yeah, really unlucky. After a while, when I went into that hospital, I thought I was gonna be there like a day, and then a month goes by, and I'm still not out.
Was that not part of the lymphoma treatment?
No, because that was just straight. So we had to stop lymphoma treatments during that. That was just straight because of the sepsis. The sepsis shut down everything. So my body swelled up 25 pounds, had a heart vegetation that moved up into my brain. And that's why I had multiple embolisms. They called it a shower of clots, which is why I was completely unresponsive, unable to understand anything, didn't even know my own fucking name when they were asking me in the hospital. They said, what's your name? And I said, Alex. They said, what's your last name? And I looked at them and I was like, they're like, what year is it? Blank. So I went in and then, immediately they figured out like day 2, it was sepsis. And then they were like, okay, we got to keep you here for at least a week. Fast. And then I lost all ability to function, to walk. I was completely weakened and atrophied to a point when I had to literally relearn how to walk. Like I knew how to do it. It wasn't like teach your brain. It was your body is so weak that it cannot support you. And this is coming from, obviously, like, you've known me for a few years. I am a slackliner. I play tennis. Like I hike a lot. Like I'm a person who uses my body pretty consistently and pushes my body. And now for them to be like, do you think you can get out of bed? And me to go, no. That's such a mind fuck. And you really have to like, that was the hardest time, was being in the hospital, because there were a couple days when I was just like, looking at the machine beeping and like, what if I just like pull all the cords out of me like right now? Like, what if I just overdose on some medicine? Like, what if I do something like that? But, then I go back to like, wait a minute, Alex, once you get out of here, watch what happens next. You're going to rebuild. And I'm still in that phase, It's the emotional toll of all of it, the physical toll, but the mental toll, part of me thinks there's parts of it that I will never get over. And I've done a lot to get over it. I mean, I went to the jungle of Peru by myself and did a shit ton of ayahuasca to get over it. And even still, there are parts of me at times when I'm like, ugh, God, that really fucked me up.
Of course.
Yeah. But you want to think that you are better than that you're stronger than that you won't be a victim to your past and what has happened to you, your experiences. You want to think that like, I can look forward and I know what that did and it shaped me in a new way and it kind of spit me out in a different direction. But you want to think that you can get over it. In the same way that I spent like the last decade really climbing out of depression and anger and things like that and self-hatred just by being good to myself and practicing all these self-care techniques. And comedy helped me a lot with that. California helped me a lot with that. Having great friends, all of these things really helped me with that. So you think I've done the work, but then something like this happens and all of those thoughts that you thought you had been over just come flooding back in. And you're like, no, depression, I dealt with you. Like, get away. And then, but when you're laying in a hospital bed and when home nurses are coming to your house and literally giving you the exercises that they would give an octogenarian in a senior home, can you move your neck like that? Wow. And they're like, wow. Like, there were days I would take a step and people would start clapping for me. I'm like, this is fucked up. Like, oh my God. I have bombed my tits off on national television in front of thousands and millions of people. And yet you're clapping for me to take a step. Like, how did this happen?
That is such a mind fuck. But at the same time, and I'm sure you have the awareness around this anyways, but I don't know that anybody who's ever gotten over cancer isn't kind of looking over their shoulder a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about it, and I mean, people will come out of the woodwork and be like, oh, I had this. And so you find people to talk to about it. And yeah, there is something that happens where no matter how healthy you get and how good you feel, there is a certain lingering, it's not really even a fear. It's just this feeling of like it could all be stripped away at any time. I mean, after that experience for the next year, I was like, and if I felt a single thing, I'd be like, oh, it's back. Oh, it's back. Of course it's back. And then I learned you can't get cancer twice. Not true. But I just was like, I can't live like this. I can't keep thinking that it's going to return at any time. So I just, every day is just like I start off with a meditation going, I feel good. I'm healthy. Check in with your body. Okay. Then don't worry about it today.
Right.
I can't live like that.
And I think, tell me if this is fair to say, that you're a pretty woo-woo guy. You're saying you're going to ayahuasca trips to deal with this. And do you think that thinking it's going to come back is going to like manifest it back?
I think that a little bit. I mean, yeah, I think that it's possible for sure. Like I really try to actively think in a positive way, which sometimes my wife accuses me a lot of having toxic positivity. And I'm like, well, I used to be toxic negativity. So I think it's better this way than it is the other way. Yeah. Because I used to not only live in the swamp, but I would pull everyone around me into it. I had this mentality for a long time that's like, if I am miserable, you're going to be miserable, because if I have to suffer, then everyone's going to suffer. And then at some point I was like, well, that's not fair to people. So instead I started like going, well, why don't I lift people up and see if that lifts me up? And lo and behold, guess what? Turns out that if you're a good person to other people, it makes you feel good about yourself at the same time. Weird. And so I really started just kind of going with that mentality. But I mean, I also believe in the healing powers of psychedelics. Like, I love psychedelics for fun, done them at music festivals tons of times and with friends and stuff like that. But doing them by yourself or like in a space where your intent is to heal, there's just nothing like it because you can't hide anymore. You are staring directly in the mirror and you are locked in and you can't go, well, I didn't really feel that way because it's telling you every single thing. And you're basically going like, okay, I can see it for what it was now. I can step outside of myself. But yeah, it's, oh man, I don't even know where I was going with that in the end, but
No, I think as long as I've known you, you've always seemed like a very uplifting, going out of your way. I remember when you would do those paragraphs of appreciation for people. This was probably like a decade ago.
2016. Yeah, no, the Alex's awesome person recognition, 366 days on Facebook.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I knew you well enough to give you one at the time. Did I give you one?
I don't remember.
I don't know if I did or not. Some people like literally got upset with me. They were just like, "How could I not be one?" I was like, "Dude, now you're looking at this really the wrong way."
Yeah.
But yeah, for 366 days, I wrote about a different person on my Facebook of how they've inspired me, why it's an honor to know them, and things like that. So I really do try to like lift people up, and the more I do for other people, the more I do for myself. And eventually, I got to this point when I was like, I stand up can feel very selfish. But the more you are able to connect with people and give out and just show people that you see them for a moment, even just like that was a random surprise that you could just wake up to one day. You open up your social media and you were like, Alex Hooper tagged you in a post and you were like, oh shit, it's my day. And then people would share it, comment on it. I felt so strong after that year. I remember New Year's Day of that year, I went to a day party in downtown LA, like a daytime rave. And I just remember like floating because I just had this like feeling of accomplishment of like, I did it for no reason other than I wanted to make people feel good and feel noticed for a second. And, nothing, there was no monetary goal in that. There was no goal in that other than just, look how many people you know. How lucky are you?
Right. And that you can have gratitude for every person and spotlight that gratitude for who they are and what they've done to your life. And it's, I'm in a 12-step program, and they say that self-esteem is built on esteemable acts.
Yeah, I love that.
And that is an esteemable act of you're appreciating another person without any kind of ulterior motive. You're not trying to get anything out of it. You're not trying to like kiss their ass for an opportunity or anything like that. You're just saying kindnesses. We normally wait till someone's dead before we say things like that about people.
Yep.
And that is really fucked up. And I'm trying in my own life to practice this thing where I don't hold back compliments. Because sometimes I'll just be like, I was at Costco, I was checking out. The woman that was looking at my receipt had cool eyeshadow. And I'm like, hey, I like your eyeshadow.
Yep.
And I'm trying to make sure that I allow myself that space to have the verbal diarrhea of just like sharing that I like something about somebody.
I love that.
With them because, yeah, selfishly, it makes me feel good.
Yeah, for sure. And also living in Los Angeles, we lose a lot of sense of community when we're just going about our day. Because like in a normal, like if you live in a smaller town and you know more people and you know you're going to see that person again, you think about that. But in LA, we almost like avoid eye contact. We just walk by quickly and everything. But if you just like stop somebody, like you said, and just go, what a beautiful dress. You are really rocking that today. They're going to be like, oh, okay. Oh, do you want money or something? Like we think everything's transactional, but it doesn't need to be. It can just be let's just give each other an emotional energy exchange for a moment. I mean, that's really how I look at stand-up, is it's just like, I don't owe you anything, you don't owe me anything, but if we do this right and we are cohesive, we will walk out if you're lighter and happier than when we came in, because we just allow ourselves to be part of this space for a little while. And I think, like, yeah, lifting people up is such a simple little thing to do. If you're thinking, hey, should I text this person that I haven't talked to in a while and just tell them I really like this thing they put out? Yes, just do it. Just do it. Like, don't even think about it. Tell people that they're great, because people need to hear that shit. It's so easy to trash talk, and it's so fucking fun to trash talk, too. Like, obviously, we love gossiping. We love shitting on people. But also, I like baking them a cake. I like putting some roses in their flour or in their water, like whatever it is. It's just as easy to lift up while you tear down, and then your tear downs become more fun. You know, I got known. What was so funny about doing that year of recognition is that was the year when I was like a roast battle champion. So I'm getting known for being viciously hateful toward people in a loving way, obviously, but just throwing these burns. And then my gift for being so nice for a year and calling out all these people for how great they are was that I got season 2 of Roast Battle on Comedy Central that was filming in January. So I was like, so I was super nice for a whole year, and my reward is that I get to go on a huge stage and shit all over people. What a beautiful, beautiful gift that I did not see coming. Like, hilarious. That's like basically if you spent a year like building wells and in Africa in like a small village, and they were like, and now you get to murder a person of your choice, someone you don't want. It's like, I was like, oh, I didn't know it was going to come to that. I don't even really want to do that, but okay, sure. I have the opportunity. Great. Give me a gun.
That was such a good era with Roast Battle and what it was like, opening so many doors for people. And it was just always so fun. And you want to talk community. That felt like a real community.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's a book about it. Julie Seabaugh wrote the Ringside at Roast Battle book because she saw it as, she was like, this is like the early days of UCB or Groundlings or something like that. Like, this is building something. And it's so funny to me because it was just a safe space where they were like, so we can say anything, we can be anything, we can do anything as long as it's funny and we're trying to make the joke and it's good and you do the work, then everything's accepted here. And that's why I think it's so beautiful, like what that show is and has become. I mean, it's still, the fact that it's growing now still worldwide, it's a whole league. It's incredible that it has maintained what it has been able to, because most shows, they just come and they go and they float away. And there were times when Roast Battle definitely seemed like there's no way this is going to keep going. But the dedication of Brian Moses and now like Pat Barker and a few other people have just been like, no, this is a thing that we should really hone and we should honor, because it makes people feel good about themselves. It brings everyone in. I mean, you look at a battle like Robin Tran and Joe Urell, like a person who is confined to a wheelchair because of cerebral palsy going against a trans Asian person and then just like obliterating each other. And then everyone's celebrating that. Amazing.
Such a good show of, no, you can go there. And when the intention is good, which it clearly is in a roast battle, you hardly ever experience people that seem like they're up there with real loathing towards the person.
No.
It's always in jest. It's always fun-natured, but they're saying such outrageous shit, which is the funnest part of all.
Yeah, for sure. And I grew to love that. That was one thing when I got cancer, I told people specifically, like, I was like, I need you guys to treat me as you always do. Make fun of my skin, make fun of my face, make fun of every single thing about me. I do not care, because if you start treating me with fragility, that's when I'm going to lose my mind. If I feel like you're dancing on eggshells around me because you don't want to say the wrong thing, then I'm failing as a person, because I'm not letting you know that everything's going to be okay. And you, like, that's one thing where, like, I don't ever want somebody to treat me differently because of what I've been through. And so many times somebody will go, oh, I'm going through this thing right now. Oh, I don't want to compare though because of you. And I'm like, dude, what? Dude, I don't care. Yes, I had shit happen to me. If you stub your toe and it hurts, that's your experience. And I'm not going to belittle you for trying to, talk about it. Everyone we're always in this compare and despair kind of like place. And the more you can get out of that and just be like, hey, like, walk up to a person in a wheelchair and tell them you have plantar fasciitis. Who cares? Like, they're going to, I don't know how that feels. And you're like, well, this is my experience for right now. So
it's something we have to exercise. I was having this thought when I was walking Monty last night of, I have to stop second guessing and having guilt around emotions when I have them. Because what happens to me, like, I work with a lot of people who lost their homes in the Palisades. I'm meeting at least one person a week. There was a day last week where I had 3 people in one day who lost their homes. And I will myself experience, I guess, compassion fatigue, for lack of a better term.
Sure.
Where I get really devastated about interacting with these people. And then there's a second layer to it where then I feel tremendous guilt. How dare I be upset and feel like I have compassion fatigue when I'm not the one who fucking lost everything?
Yeah.
And I think that's some of what's happening when someone's like, oh, I stubbed my toe, but you had cancer. So how dare I have feelings about it? And it's just, we can't. Not only is it hard to hold space for other people for feelings sometimes, like I have a hard time holding space for my own feelings.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing is you always gotta, like, I used to give out too much. Like, I didn't protect myself at all. This is actually something I learned in ayahuasca, on ayahuasca in Peru, was I will endlessly give out my happiness and my joy and all these things to make sure that you feel comfortable and that you are in a good space, but then I will completely neglect it for myself because I'm so busy worrying about how that other people are just like, I need you to feel good today. Fuck how I feel, because I've spent my whole life feeling like shit because of my brain, mainly because like everything for me is attached to my skin issues, because if my skin doesn't feel good, then I don't feel good and everything just goes. So I would just give it out. And I didn't preach. I preached love and happiness and all these things. I wrote a whole self-help book about it, like roast yourself to happiness. And then I learned, I was like in Peru and I was like in the middle of this metal hut. And I'm just like, I don't actually love myself. Oh my God. And like you have that revelation and you're like, oh, I've just been saying this thing because I like the way it sounded, that I feel good, and I'm enlightened to the point where I have pure love for myself. I have conditional love for myself. And now I do have unconditional love for myself, and I feel much more free, but to get there is a daily reminder. Like I have to wake up every morning and meditate immediately just to go like, hey, you woke up again. Remember that feeling of freedom, whatever's going to happen out there today, you can't let it just infect your brain to the point when you are going to cease to just be yourself. And I think that was the hardest part, is I was so afraid I would never get myself back. My sister-in-law said it to me. My sister-in-law, Holly, at one point, she was like, it's so good to have you back. And I was like, what do you mean? I've been back for months. She goes, no. But like, there was a time when we didn't know if we were going to get you back. Like fun loving, just happy-go-lucky and like positive fuel, all these other things. We didn't know what was going to come back. And there are times when I go like, do I really want to still be that person? Like it takes a lot of work to be that person.
Yeah.
But then I was like, what's the alternative? That I become selfish and disillusioned and reclusive? That's not fun. That sucks. I lived like that for years. And that's just not how I want to be. If you are around me for even a brief moment, I want your fuel to just check up just a little bit, just increase a little bit. So when you walk out, like I want to give you energy. And I've learned that in giving people energy, I'm not necessarily depleting mine. I'm expanding it. At one point I learned that the more love I give out, the more that comes back. And it's an unlimited abundance inside of me that I'm never going to run out of room to accept more love or to give out more love. So just keep giving it out. Who cares?
Is that something that you would tell people if someone's like dealing with a loved one who's going through either what you went through or whatever tragedy, like insert X tragedy, we have like a loved one who's going through something? Take the kid gloves off or what? Like, how would you have preferred to be treated when you were going through it?
Well, how I prefer to be treated is not necessarily how others would prefer to be treated. Because a lot of people, if you're going through one of the worst experiences of your life, they don't want somebody to come up and tell you that your skin looks like a 90-year-old man's nutsack. Like, I'd say you have to approach with caution, but also just meet the person where they are. But definitely one thing I learned about cancer is like anytime somebody would get scared for me, I'm like, no. Like, you don't get to do that. Like, I don't need you to do that. All I need you to do is be here present, because that's what I think people miss is they miss just doing regular things in their life. Like, I remember the first time I was able to go to a grocery store again, and I was like, I was walking like, it helped that I was pushing a cart so I could like keep myself up. But the fact that I was doing that on my own is what I needed. And so you need to tell people, you need to be the person, you can't be sad for anyone who's going through anything. You can be there, you can be emotionally present, but you putting your own emotion into their issue is not helping anything, even if it's your issue too. Mm-hmm. So you need to always be not necessarily offering solutions, but at least being a guiding light that's not saying, God, this, like there's no hope. I'm not, I'm whatever it is. I mean, be real, but also be uplifting in some way. Just be, sometimes all it took was just like, I would have friends visit me in the hospital and I'd be like, dude, just so you know, like I'm pretty like dilaudid up right now. I have a lot of painkillers in me. If you can just like sit there, put on TV or something, and they just that. That's enough. Just hold space with me. That's that you took time out of your life to be here at this shitty fucking hospital. The least I can do is get the nurse to get you a Sprite and just sit there.
Yeah. So for us, I think insults and making fun of us is like a love language. I certainly feel like that.
That's good. Yeah, because most people do not. Like, most people think they can handle it until you do it. And they're like, I didn't like that at all. Because if you see me, you making fun of me and roasting me means you're seeing me. But for a lot of people, they don't want to be seen like that. That's
a good way of putting it. I know, I feel that way too. I've always kind of thought that I lack feedback, that the world doesn't give me as much feedback as I would like to get. And so sometimes when I get criticism, I'm like, good, please tell me more. Like, give me a thing that I can either work on or acknowledge within myself or get validation that that's like a thing that I already think about myself and someone else does too.
Yeah. That's what that was kind of always the beauty of roast battle to me is like, it wasn't, I used to tell people when I was like battling is I would say, they're like, isn't it crazy like to get made fun of like that, like publicly? And I'm like, no. It's not the point because you already thought it about yourself. Probably. Right. You probably thought whatever they were thinking, they might've twisted into a better way, but it's not the moment when they say it. It's the moment when everyone in the room notices it then and laughs at you for it. And I would tell people, I'm like, just so you know, they are laughing at you. Yeah. Okay. There is a with factor because you are going to be able to, rebuttal and get it back. But for the most part, you need to be ready to get laughed at. I remember after I did America's Got Talent the first time in 2018, I was up in Lake Tahoe playing the Improv for a week. And this guy was like, I know who you are, dude. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was just like slacklining next to the lake. And he goes, do you want to, can I insult you? And I was like, dude, I don't want to do this right now. Like, I'm having a day. Like, I don't need that. And the guy was like, nah, man, you're this roast battler and you can't handle it. And I was like, I can handle it. And I don't remember what he said about me, but I made some joke. I was like, okay, say it, and I'll throw it back. I made some joke about his teeth. He had these giant teeth with a big gap in them. And I said it, and he goes, why would you say that to me? And I went, dude, I told you I didn't want to do this. He goes, do you really think that? I was like, I don't even know you. I was having a day. I'm fucking standing on a piece of floss, just bouncing up and down, enjoying the sunshine. And suddenly you put me in this roast mode and I didn't want to do that to you, dude.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I just tell people no. I'm just like, look, you can roast me if you want. I'm not going to give it back to you. I just not.
It's when the comment section comes to life.
Yeah. For sure. And I mean, that happened. I mean, those comments during that time were crazy just because, I mean, that was such a huge thing for me. It was such a big moment. And yeah, the internet doesn't lose. You're fearless behind that fucking keyboard. But that was in real life. This guy was like, oh, I can do this. And then,
nope.
Oh, then you actually felt it. And you were like, oh, that sucks. Yeah, there are times, dude. I remember there was a time somebody said, a joke about me where they just said Alex's parents are divorced, but they'll never be as far apart as his eyeballs. And I was like, what does that even mean? And then I got home and looked in the mirror and I was like, are my eyeballs far apart? Is that just... No, they're not. They're a perfectly normal symmetrical distance from each other. But it doesn't matter because the joke worked. And so I go home and I'm just like, what the... Like, you know, and that's for a weaker person... That's going to destroy them for a long time. They're going to like look into getting plastic surgery. Like, can you put my eyes right next to each other? Can you actually just remove my nose, just the bridge of it, just so that it can just be here, neighboring towns, like whatever it is.
What's been a roast joke that you've heard about yourself that you were like, damn, that's a good one?
Oh man. I mean, so many. I really loved. I mean, this is from that same battle. This is like early days. My third battle ever. This guy Rich Slayton. I don't know if he does comedy anymore. He doesn't live in LA anymore. But he said, you know, Alex I was my wife and my girlfriend at the time. He goes, Alex has a girlfriend, and a lot of people wonder how they make love, and it's pretty simple. He turns down the lights, puts on some nice music, and then his girlfriend says, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And dude, the room exploded so hard that I was like, it was the end of a first round, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this round. Like, I can't come back from that. So, you know, it's just like, there's so many. I think about these jokes like a lot that people have thrown at me, and there's just so many good ones. I mean, Omid Singh one time said that Alex's hands are so dry. The first time I met him, I thought he was handing me a pine cone. It's so funny. I remember Leah Kajanian said that I look like I've been stranded on an island waving at rescue helicopters for the past few years. Like, just these little tiny things they're just so... Like, looking at me like that, like, it's just so silly. Like, of course I've made a Beetlejuice comparison to myself, but, like, the way he set it up in this beautiful, like, emotional, intimate moment, and, like, all these things, like, yeah, handing you, like, there are times when my hands were so dry. Like, they're a lot better now, but, like, handing you a pine cone, fuck. Like,
what the English language was intended for is, like, that symphony of things that shouldn't go together, and yet they do.
Yeah, these beautiful, beautiful things. Like, and that's really, I mean, yeah, I mean, if I went through the list of like, the amount of roast jokes I've heard about myself, I mean, hundreds of them in battles alone, I would just spend my time, I would laugh my ass off reading these things. Oh, I remember that one. And like, I took joy in the beginning. I didn't. In the beginning, when somebody hit me really hard with a joke, I was like, I hate this person. Grr. But then I was amazed, like, no, I want them to succeed. I want them to drop the best heaters ever. I want to stand up there engulfed in flames and just feel this visceral reaction from all of these people that are laughing hysterically. When Fifi Dosh, at the time Joe Dosh, now Fifi Dosh, said, Alex, it looks like the moon in a silent movie. The room is silent for like 4 or 5 seconds.
Just processing.
And then all of a sudden, like just this crazy sound because everybody suddenly saw it. Everybody. And like, it was just, I just remember going like, fuck, like that's just so creative.
That's
and
poetry.
Yeah, it's so good. And anyone who doesn't get that reference, just Google moon silent movie and you will instantly see a cratered up, weird looking moon. And all right, you got me. Do you have any, remember you did a few battles, right?
Yeah, I did a bunch. I was on a bit of a streak for a while, and then I got like burnt out on it, which I'm sad about because I still miss it sometimes, but not enough to go back to it. I think it just like required, so I just did too many in too short of a period of time and was like, okay, I got to set this down. I kind of wish there were more good jokes that stood out to me about myself, but I think I just got so many like generic slut jokes.
Yeah, that's the problem with, like, if you don't really learn who your opponent is, it gets kind of boring, like, in that respect. And that's why, like, you need creativity. is so important in roast battle. And what I always told people is like, silly beats mean. You're not trying to be mean. You're trying to be silly. I mean, there's a joke that I still say today that I actually put in my special that I used. I say it all the time. And like George Perez said it about me. His opening joke was, why do you look like a bouncer at a recycling center? Which is not a thing. That's just, but it's so funny because every time I say it, it gets a huge reaction and nobody even knows why they're laughing. There's just something about it that's just, it's so outlandish and removed from reality that you can't help but look at me and suddenly go, that would be a bouncer at a recycling center. Look at that guy, dude.
Yeah.
Just passing out nickels. Yeah. So... yeah, I haven't roasted in a long time, like battled or anything like that. And there are times when I think about it, but the thing is I got so much out of that show. It took me to so many places and really helped me discover who I am as a person, allowed me to see myself in a way that I always tried to hide from, that I can't thank that show enough for just like honestly opening me to just like a whole world that I never would have thought of. I never, ever thought of myself as like a roast comic. I still don't think of myself as a roast comic. It's just a skill that I've developed that I learned, all those years of fighting, like fighting with words on a playground because people would be like, oh my God, that's a monster. What's wrong with that guy? Blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden I'm like, oh, I know what to do with this. Mm-hmm. And it just... I loved writing those jokes. I still love writing those jokes. When somebody gives me, like when I get hired to write for something or something and I get to write roast jokes, I'm thrilled. People bring me up on Cameo. They want me to roast them. Great. Like, awesome. Like, let me do this in a setting where it's called for and encouraged.
Right.
That's the key to roasting. It's like, it needs to be in a setting that is enthusiastic about it.
That's for sure. I do remember getting called that I looked like Selena Gomez's reflection in a heroin spoon. I was pretty great.
Was that Asina Admonson?
It was.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna. I know that premise well. Yeah. But yeah, no. That's really good. It's
really good. Yeah. And then and I so wish it's like, again, there's just not a lot that stick out for me because they didn't feel personal enough to have stuck. Except one that was Josh Waldron was like, Galina works at Ferrari to remind men who they have to settle for if they don't buy one.
Ha!
And I love that joke a lot.
Right. I love that too. That's what you're saying. You got like endless like slut jokes, whatever. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt about like pedophilia jokes with me. Yeah. Like I'm like, just insert generic comic into this equation. This isn't about me. I need you to see me. I remember Eli Sayers called me stillborn Mufasa. And I was like, fuck, dude. Like, it still makes me laugh to this day.
That's so funny. Yeah. Those words have never been together strung together in a sentence.
No, Disney canceled that sequel. They were trying to make that one and wait for it on Broadway. But yeah, I really like, I never wanted generic things that could be said about anybody. Like, I need you to see me because honestly, I'm so roastable and I accept that. I remember like my second battle ever, this guy was just kind of throwing jokes at me and not really looking at me. And like Ralphie May was like, look at this guy, look at him. Just like pointing at me like, how are you not going to roast that? And I was like, exactly. Mm-hmm. You know, but it really, that show allowed me to discover myself and really evolve as a comedian and a human. I mean, it's really... yeah.
It gave me that too, and it was a place where when I was doing it, I was just a few years in. I was so new to comedy, and I felt so welcome there and so respected and just like treated like anybody else. And it was a place where I could show up and automatically be comfortable. And a lot of people didn't have comfortable feelings at the Comedy Store or just around that at all. And I was like, no, I feel so good here. I feel really welcome here. This is a space where I'm like looking forward to showing up and saying hi to people and having a great time. It was so unadulterated by industry the way that like certain other shows weren't, and there was like no pressure except just to be funny.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because you just brought up a really good point. Like, because you wanted to be a part of that community, right? There's this feeling of belonging when you find comedy and things like that, and I really wonder if any of that is being lost presently, because people are so much about like built their own brand, their own following. Like within 6 months of comedy, you're thinking about your brand. Like it's so foreign to me to think that way that soon. And I worry that people aren't like building their own shows and trying to like really create things anymore, that don't specifically just say like me. Do you think that is a valid concern, or is that just something that I'm making up out of my own mind?
You're not making it up at all. I've been going through it quite a bit lately. I kind of had this realization that, at least for me, things have been really stagnant with comedy for me for like many years now. I, at 10 years in, feel like I'm still doing the same caliber of shows that I was doing at 5 years in. And it's hard not to look at the pandemic and blame that a little bit, because that was really like peak. People who built their audience online started taking off.
Yeah.
And that started to become such a priority at that point 5 years ago. And what I've noticed within the scene here is a lot of the independent shows have fallen away.
Yes.
There's not this and I'm like, how much of this is because I'm 35 and not 25? Like when I was 25 and I started doing open mics, I drove all over LA every night. I did 365 sets the first year.
Hell yeah. Love that.
I was and I don't have energy to do that now. I wouldn't do that now, but I had so much fun. And every show that I went to, whether I was in Santa Monica or Echo Park or deep in the valley, I ran into everybody every night.
Yeah.
So every night felt like fucking summer camp.
Right?
And I don't think it's like that for the comedians who are starting today. I don't see that community and that bouncing around and that integration of different parts of town. I don't see that many independent shows. Everything is either a club show or like Don't Tell came in and killed like the mom and pop shop shows, so to speak.
Yeah, as much as I love Don't Tell, it definitely has. People are not starting as much in their own scene because they can just start a Don't Tell.
And so with the transition of things being more like, oh, go have fun and go be with your people and go prove to yourself in the community in person that you're really funny, it's morphed from that being the priority to the priority being building a following. Mm-hmm. And while I understand that that's the thing that sells tickets and that that's going to be the thing that allows you to get out of what feels like career purgatory, basically, in order to go from not headlining to headlining, I miss and I sort of resent that things aren't the way that they used to be before, because that was when it was like really, really fun. And I yearn for that community to the point where I'm like, do I leave LA to go chase it elsewhere?
I hear that. I mean, my wife likes to say to me, you want a career that hasn't existed in 30 years. Like, because I really thought like, I didn't think about money for the longest time, because I just figure like I'm getting some heat around here and I'm doing well. I keep getting on better shows. So eventually it will just come. Like I've been in a couple sitcoms, a couple commercials, all these things. But like you wonder, but part of me is also just like comedy will teach you how to love yourself and teach you how really so much, because it is such a journey of self-discovery. But the longer you stay in it, you have to keep opening yourself in new ways. Otherwise, I can feel the stagnancy, like you're saying. I can feel the frustration and why didn't this work out? Why didn't this get me here? Why aren't I more successful than I am? And those thoughts will really kind of like really kind of just start infecting your brain. And it's not surprising to me why so many people quit. And whenever somebody quits, I'm just like, you coward. Mm-hmm. Also, please tell me how you did that. Really?
Yeah, I'd like to know. Where's the memoir? Because if quitting every day, I'm like, God, I wish I wanted to do anything else. And at the end of the day, I fucking don't.
I don't either. And I don't know what to do about that. Like I try to constantly try new things and do new things. And like, even in the world of content creation is everyone's like, well, so don't just post stand-up clips. Like just tell a joke while you're doing like a benign activity. Do this, it's just like, okay, so we have to just become this other thing to get where we really want. And like there are times when I get really into it and I'm like, oh cool, I'm gonna do this for a while and I'm really gonna feel good about it. And in the end, I never end up feeling satisfied with social media in any way. Even when things are going great, even when I go viral, I still don't feel satisfied.
It's such a fleeting thing.
Yeah.
It's such a fleeting. You think you want it and then it comes and then that dopamine drops right back down to baseline and you're like, no, this isn't the high. Like I'll share this, and I haven't really even publicly like acknowledged that I'm doing this.
Tea is spilling.
A little bit of tea is spilling. I'm probably going to move to Austin next year.
Whoa.
In January for
Okay.
like a year. Just because I feel like there's more opportunity for me there specifically, as I was just saying, like the stagnation has been really fucking heavy and really eating away at me. And I was talking to my therapist about it, and she's like, oh, well, you're going to miss the ocean. And I was like, I know, I will miss the ocean. The ocean's a very big part of my life. It brings me a lot of joy. I'm a big surfer, and that's really been like a tough thing for me to contend with post fires because the water hasn't been safe.
Sure.
And this is the longest I've ever gone without surfing. And after I got off my call with her, I walked to the ocean and I sat in the sand listening to like the most depressing music, like just crying into the horizon.
Oh, I love that one. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let it
Just in my
fill up the
feels.
ocean of your own tears, right?
That's right. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, you know, I get so much just like the purest, some of the happiest, most pure joy that I've ever felt has been like sitting on a surfboard and seeing dolphins nearby. And then right after I had that thought, it was followed with the thought of, I also get the purest joy when I have a really good set.
Yeah.
And I just want to be where I can have that feeling more. And if that's not LA for me today, then I need to go chase it, even if it means being away from the dolphins for a little bit. Like, because that is a thing that even though I've been at it for a decade now, it never goes away. The high that I feel after a really good set never fucking diminishes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I notice this when I'm on the road, like where I'll do 2-hour-long sets. And if the shows were good, you could ask me to run a marathon after that. And I'd be like, easy. Like,
That's
I
right.
don't even need water. Just put I don't need shoes. I don't need clothes. Like, I don't care. What's the terrain? Rocky? Great. I'll do it. I feel invincible. And I do think, you know, switching scenes, especially to a scene like Austin, which is such a young scene, and there are so many people who, look, and this is not a slight toward Austin, but there's so many comics that are so new, they have no idea what they're doing.
It reminded me of when I started here.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that feeling of running around doing mics because everything is so close together there.
Yep.
I can do what I used to do here 10 years ago there and it not be like logistically exhausting.
Yeah, but also people don't know who you are yet. So all of a sudden you're going to come in, they're going to think, oh, who is this newer person? And then all of a sudden you're going to show them that you have chops and they're going to go, oh, shit. Because you're going in with a decade of experience. You're not starting from nothing, which so
Exactly.
many people are there. So if you actually know what you're doing, you will shine in a scene like that. You know, like endless possibilities. And I get it. Like, I think about leaving LA all the time. My wife's job is here and it's really good. But like, you know, we're trying to have a family. I'm like, is this where I'm going to raise a family? Like in LA? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Just because I can't imagine like just putting my kid, like, you know, an 8-year-old on a bike here and just letting him run wild. I live in
Right.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Can't raise kids in Hollywood.
No, I mean, I have friends that do it, but I applaud them for it. But that's not necessarily the existence I want, you know, for them. So, yeah, I mean, go forth, spread your wings, right? See what else is out there. Like, you know what LA is?
Yeah. And when you were thinking about, or when you were talking about how the cancer was like such an opportunity for you to shake the stagnation. Like
Isn't that
we were
gross,
just
though?
Yes and no. Because of course my brain went, yeah, I'm trying to shake stagnation. I'm trying to like get rid of all these things that feel like I'm spinning my wheels and not moving. And with that, you took like the worst fucking thing that could possibly happen to you and you used it as an opportunity to be like, well, it's going to be really good for me comedically when I get out of this. It's going to be an opportunity. It's going to be a way to have a completely brand new perspective on things.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's what I had to do for myself. Like it was there was so much doom and gloom going on in my mind that I was like, how do I spin this into something good? And that was the only way I could conceivably do it, because there are times when I still get angry that I have gone through all that I am going through that. And I've had to shake a lot of it. But that was another ayahuasca lesson is just like, hey, stop trying to prove to the world how strong and resilient you are, because like it shines through in just how you live and the way you like approach life pretty much every day. So stop trying to prove it and just be it and move forward. Like, you keep looking back going, oh, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me. But like, yes, it did. And it has shaped you to where you are now. But there's no reason to keep revisiting, wow, I really almost fucking died, huh? Whoa, huh? Because it doesn't do anything for me. Honestly, instead of going, thank God I'm alive, I go, fuck that cancer, fuck that sepsis for putting me in that hospital, fuck all of it. And yeah, so instead I had to release all of that energy that was taking up space because it wasn't allowing me to move forward. And honestly, Galina, I'm still pretty stuck. I don't know exactly what to do with myself, even though I am moving forward and I'm like doing comedy about it. And I just released a special and all these other things are helping me move forward. There are so many ways when I don't believe in sometimes I don't believe in myself as much as I used to, because I really thought by this time in my life I would be further along, at least like economically and things like that. Like, I'm at the survival stage, not the thriving stage. And that sometimes that's something that I have to deal with in my own mind a lot. But living in the cancer place, that won't do it. So if you need something to shake you up and you can do it on your own without it being forced into your life, great. Do that.
Yeah.
For sure. You are going to miss the ocean though.
I am, yeah. But the way I'm framing it is it's just a year. I don't see myself living there long term.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, and who knows? But that's the other thing is like, you don't know where it's going to bring you after that. Right. Maybe that year goes great, and all of a sudden you meet some dude who's just like, hey, I'm going to move to Spain. And you're like, whoa, I want to move to Spain. Mm-hmm. And you live near the ocean. Okay, cool. Let's go to Mallorca, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, then you're the comedy queen of Mallorca, surfing all the time and just living your life on this beautiful island, whatever it is. Who knows? It's like, we got to stay open to whatever is happening. And I think it is easy to feel stuck, especially when you've chosen a career where where it's all in our hands, right? It really is.
Unfortunately and fortunately.
Yes, for better or for worse, it is all on us. And that is something I have to tell myself all the time. They're like, Alex, you have all the potential in the world and all of the capabilities to just pull yourself out of whatever hole you're in. But if you don't do it, if you don't take action, that's on you. And you can't blame anybody.
It takes strength of character to accept that kind of accountability, though.
Oh, dude. Before I did like 4 nights of ayahuasca down there. And like on day 3, I'm journaling. And I literally just wrote, your position is not by accident. Everything that you are feeling and that you've gone through was because of something that you brought into your life, and you have all the power to get yourself where you want to be if you are willing to do it. And like, I'm just like crying down there, like in the middle of the jungle, just like, because like this realization is so visceral inside of me, but I'm also scared. That's like, but am I gonna be able to do it? Because I used to be fucking fearless in comedy, like, and I still am in a lot of ways, but I also find myself pulling back sometimes. And that's just very real, where I'm like, well, I have nothing to lose in comedy, so why don't I just go for it? Like, but, I find reasons to hold me back. I'm like, well, I don't have the money to do that thing. Well, then figure it out another way. If you really want to do something, figure it out. But we can't blame anyone. There's no industry anymore to be like, well, I didn't book this TV show, so now I'm ruined.
You're right. Yeah, all that with the industry falling away the way that it has. Yeah. It's even more like the onus is on us even more.
Yeah.
To change things.
And I try to separate myself from my comedy. The problem is I dove so hard into this lifestyle that I have trouble seeing myself as anything else. Like sometimes I would put comedian before human, and that's not right.
Ugh, me too.
Yeah. That's not right though. Like, yeah. I am human first. And like, I always try to think like, if I find myself getting just like agitated with how I'm doing, and I'm looking at other people going, God, they're just, I'm like, nope. That's not going to help anything. It's not. Some people are fueled by hate. I'm not one of them.
I think it'll only get you so far. I think it can
Yeah.
be a good motivator sometimes, but I don't think it can carry the torch for an entire career.
I think that's a very good point. It's a very quick flame, and so it's flash in the pan. And so how do I keep lifting people up, spreading love, even if that's what the algorithm is telling me is the opposite of what it wants? That's my biggest problem with social media is so much. They're like, dude, what you got to do is start arguments and instill fear and tell people that they're lying and all these. And I'm like, I don't want to do any of that.
I'd rather it take me longer to get to where I'm trying to go with my online footprint by just making sure that I'm sharing the kind of content that I connect with first and foremost, as opposed to putting on that cap of algorithm manipulation and being like, oh, I'm going to start a fight. I'm going to post something super provocative. I'm going to post something that I know is going to start a war in the comments. It happens. Sometimes they're both. Sometimes something I want to post feels authentic to me and I know it might drive some engagement because it's going to piss people off. Fine. If I find that middle ground authentically, great. I'll use it all day long, but I'm never going to go out of my way to post that kind of content just to rile people up, just to try to drive engagement if it doesn't feel like something that I agree with, because guess what? I have to answer to myself when I lay my head down at night.
Yes, you do. I got checked on that by a friend like 6 months ago. I had just gone through we had gone through another pregnancy failure and it was just really weighing on me. And I just kept thinking about why is nothing going right in my life? Why do I keep having to deal with more and more trauma? Why? And I started doing social media in the way that I don't believe in it, where I was just I'm just gonna get people riled up, and I started getting massive engagement, right? But then one of my best friends, Mike, he just goes, "Are you okay?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Your social media right now, dude, is so negative. It's so rude. It's so mean. Why are you doing that?" I was like, "I'm trying to feed the algorithm." He's like this? He couldn't see it. He's like, "This isn't you. It's so not you." And I was trying to become something that I wasn't because I was looking at what other people were doing. And one thing I have learned over these years is that it doesn't matter what other people are doing, because if I think that what they're doing is working, it doesn't mean it's going to work for me. And probably it's going to do the opposite. It's going to make me feel less of myself and further remove me from who I actually want to be. And I'm pretty good, I think, at as much as I kind of hyperbolize who I am and I put on these crazy outfits and I just play, I have my fun. I think I'm pretty good at being authentic and at being genuine. And in the end, that's what draws people toward me. If they're going to be a friend, a fan of mine, whatever, it's because they go I'm playing it real. I'm having fun with this life. And I'm it's all whatever, but they trust that what's coming out of me is genuine.
That's how it's got to be. You're the best person at being you.
Yeah, you are 100%. No one can be more you than you.
And at the end of the day, that's the only competitive advantage that we really have.
Wow. That's such a good way to think about it. That's our competitive advantage, is that we are ourselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, why look at anyone else and think what they have is what you should have or something like that?
I'm not going to do a better job at being Laura than Laura's being at Laura.
Dude, Laura's fucking killing it at being Laura. She's so good at it. It's amazing what that girl does, or what that they do, or what that guy named Laura does.
Right.
Yeah, Laura, you're killing it out there. Well done. Really well done. It's a good way to think about it.
Thank you. Well, Alex Cooper, oh my gosh, sorry, my brain just short-circuited.
This person doesn't know who I am, by the way. I just stumbled into this apartment, and she was doing a podcast, and I just picked up a microphone. Her dog started licking me, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to stay here for an hour and just sit on this couch. So, yeah, nice to meet you.
Let me try that. The yerba mate is not working today. Let me try that again. Alex Hooper.
Hi. Oh, there it is. Who?
Tell people what you have going on, where they can find you.
Yeah. So social media is at Hooper Hairpuff. Pretty much on everything. HooperComedy.com. My brand new special, Brace Yourself, is out right now. There's many different places to buy it. Prime Video, Apple TV, YouTube. Go watch it. I'm very proud of it. It talks a lot about my cancer and my how I met my wife and fertility stuff and all kinds of big things. I'm extremely happy with how it came out. So please go watch that and follow me on all the stuff and come see me live. Honestly, that's why we really do these things.
That's why we do it.
Yeah, everything that I do is in service to you buying a ticket to seeing me live. Whatever TV shows I do, whatever podcast, everything is just hopefully one more person jumps on board and says, I'm going to buy a ticket to see that guy.
Yeah. Come be part of the energy in the room.
Yeah. There's nothing better. Live, having shared experiences with groups of people, I mean, those are the core memories. You know, that's when I really feel alive. That's why, like, I loved music festivals and concerts and things like that so much. Why I love comedy. It's because we're all experiencing this thing, and it's fleeting. So enjoy it now.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for doing the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, and thank you everybody for listening. Bye.